Hi, this is Scott Garibay, and today we're going to talk about how Andrew Yang can do the right thing and gain some ground in the 2020 U.S. presidential primary Democrat race. And the way he can do this is by opposing the release of candidates' tax records and health records. All right. So Elizabeth Warren walked right into a trap the other night. She's on record now saying to the whole nation that calling for the other candidates to release their tax records and to release their health records. This is releasing tax records and health records is a shockingly bad idea for a host of reasons, and I'm going to list them off for you, okay? And here's the thing. One, I think when I'm done talking, I think you're going to see this too. It is a terrible idea from the perspective of the Democrat. It undoes things that the Democrat Party has already done. It is incredibly unfair, and it's classist. It's a bad idea from so many directions, right? And so one, I think Andrew Yang should just do the right thing, get something done that would help everyone, right? Like by standing against this. And then in addition to that, and he could protect a lot of important Democrat values at the same time, and he could distinguish himself, right? He could say, oh, look, everybody failed their wisdom check on this, right? That's a Dungeons and Dragons term. When you have wisdom as an attribute, you have to make a roll, right? And you make your wisdom check, you make the right, wise choice, right? And trust and believe, Elizabeth Warren full on failed her wisdom check on publicly releasing tax and health records. I'm going to knock it out. This seems so, okay. Man, there's so many reasons. Let's get into it. All right. First and foremost, right to privacy, right? Now, here's the thing. The right to privacy didn't exist before the early 1970s. It's now recognized as there are major laws that use the right to privacy as an absolutely core component, right? And guess what? Those laws are super important to Democrats and super not important to Republicans, right? So one of the things you could do is when you say that U.S. presidential primary candidates should release, when you set the expectation that candidates should release their tax records and their health records, right? It's so basic, yeah. When you say that you should do this massively impacts the privacy of anyone who wants to run for president, which is already massively impacted, right? Only this time it's coming from the party, right? The Democrats are saying we want to publicly out people on any issues they had previously with their taxes or their health. What the heck? Were Democrats not around in the 80s when, AIDS swept across the United States of America and there were people who were living with that, right? And that kind of thing can reoccur at any time. We could have another major health issue, right? Or what if somebody's transitioning? Or what if there's a million different secrets that are in somebody's health records that are all clearly attached to the identity, to intersectionality, which Democrats are supposed to be trying to protect? This is a terrible idea from 50 different directions, right? It makes it harder for anybody who's trying to transition to run. If they didn't want that to be public at the time, right? It makes it harder for someone who made a health choice in the past that the Democrats are fully supportive of, but that the public at the macro level is not supportive of, right? It could very arguably. There's so many reasons this is an absolutely catastrophic bad idea, right? From a privacy perspective, the Democrats have been absolutely pivotal in establishing the right to privacy. The Democrats did it all on their own, right? This cracks the foundation of that work and says, oh, we should just do that and take that and throw it in the trash. And all the things that we have propped up with the right to privacy, oh, well, they can go in the trash too, right? It's a terrible idea. Excuse me. All right, so it's just terrible. It's horrible. It's shockingly bad, right? All right, let's get, so from a privacy perspective reason, it's a terrible idea, right? All right. I actually have a mnemonic. I want to make sure I remember all my points. Unnecessary, milquetoast, privacy. All right, so I hit privacy. Unnecessary. It is completely and utterly unnecessary. Both the tax records and the health records. Let's get into it, right? Why is the tax records unnecessary? It would have done nothing. It would have done nothing to stop Trump from getting in, right? And here's why, right? So one of the things is, essentially, basically, I think the Dems are upset because they have a businessman in who had very, very predatory practices, right? And was really mean to a lot of people, right? So, I guess they're the Dems and Elizabeth Warren specifically is thinking, oh, well, if we had seen his tax returns, right, it would have shown his predatory business practices, and it would have shown that he was mean to people economically, right? But the reality is, you didn't need his tax returns to know this. He made his money in casinos, right? That industry is not known for its benevolence or its fairness. Like, it's one of the few industries where they have to pay money to tell people, maybe you should stop using our product now, right? Like, it is one of the most predatory industries that has ever existed, right? They're like, come on, like, was it like some big surprise to anybody that a guy who owned like a umpteen amount of casinos, had predatory business practices? No, everybody knew it, right? In addition to that, did no one read The Art of the Deal, right? Like, did nobody in the Democrats read it? In The Art of the Deal, Donald Trump said years before he even ran for president that he constantly lied to the people that he did business with. He talked about these meetings he would have, right? And he would be ready for the meeting. There'd be nothing stopping him from going into the meeting, and he said he would just tell his assistant, oh, I'm not ready yet. Go tell them I'm not ready yet. Go tell them I'm not ready yet. Right in his book, he said one of his core practices was consistently lying to the people he did business with. What the heck? Like, you did not need his tax returns to know that this guy wasn't a Boy Scout, right? Like, he ran, he made his money in casinos, and his book said he constantly lied to the people that he did business with. There were, so getting his tax returns would not have shown what they were hoping it would have shown, right? There was no need, like, everybody who voted for Trump knew exactly what they were getting, right? There were no surprises, right? It's ridiculous. All right, get this, right? Bernie Sanders, right now, this is current event, baby. Health reports are now completely and utterly meaningless, right? So, like, we have somebody who right now just, literally suffered a heart attack one week and is on the campaign trail the next week, right? What on earth would a health report, what would a health report tell us, right? Like it's so clear that it's not a good idea for Bernie to be running right now, and that's my point too, is completely unnecessary. There are cameras on these people non-stop 24/7. We are in a post-secret world. We truly are. It's virtually impossible for these candidates to keep any secrets. Things from 20, 30, 40 years ago comes out, right? The idea that that the Democrat Party, right, should be calling for people who want to run for president to expose their tax records and their health records is such a shockingly bad idea, and it goes against everything the Democrats say they stand for, right? The other issue is, again, on the health issue thing, right? What if you say, hey, if you're going to run for president, you need to show your health records. What if somebody has something in their history that is very super private, incredibly personal, and now you've made sure that people who really might have a very noble heart and might be a great candidate will never run because they have something that they might believe or actually would be turned away by the public. This is an absolutely horrendous idea. Oh, and get this. It is Elizabeth Warren calling for candidates to publicly release their tax and their health records is shockingly classist. Here's why, okay? So one, we already know this isn't a big secret, right? You know what you can do if you have money? You can get rid of minor and even major criminal activity on your record, right? It's known by everyone, right, that if you have money, you will definitely be able to get to afford a very, very good lawyer who can often make major infractions look like minor infractions and make minor infractions disappear, which means that when you do this, when the Democrat Party, when Elizabeth Warren says everybody who wants to run for president should release their tax records, you're making sure that rich people are going to have a higher chance of winning, right? Like, I guess she was really right that she's totally cool with billionaires when she said that the other day, right? Yeah. Woo. All right. The other one is same thing with health records, right? If you are rich, you can buy organic chicken, right? And you can go to Whole Foods, right? You're going to be eating at the dollar store if you don't have money. You think there's going to be things on your health records that don't show up on other people's health records? Again, the Elizabeth Warren and the Democrats calling for anybody who wants to run for president to release their health records and their tax records is absolutely horrific, and it completely betrays what the Democrats are supposed to be standing up for. It's incredibly classist. It destroys the right to privacy. It's just such a bad idea, and it's completely unnecessary. It doesn't even serve, like, it's harming these people. It's stopping people who should be running from running, right? And it doesn't even do anything. It does, clearly health records mean nothing when you have somebody who is, actively running for president the week after they had a heart attack. I mean, come on, like, clearly health records are going to be utterly useless, right? Except for stopping people who should be running who won't, right? Because they have less money, and again, it's incredibly classist, right? So it is unnecessary. It really destroys privacy. Oh, and it guarantees. Here's the other one. It guarantees that you get the most milk toast people possible, right? So anybody who had difficult times when they were young, right? And maybe, and that's going to show up in their tax records or show up in their health records, people who came from, really hard scrabble, places, right? And maybe they did some things when they were wrong and they went through a redemption arc and now they're a different person. This makes it probably darn near impossible for them to run, right? So I will tell you right now, I am shocked that any Democrat would call for this. I am shocked that let's talk about it. Why is Elizabeth Warren saying this? I'll tell you right now, Elizabeth Warren is not dumb. She is very, very, very intelligent, right? So why on earth would she do this? On the right, they have a term. It's called own the libs. Donald Trump absolutely infuriates liberals, right? And Elizabeth Warren is a liberal, right? He makes them so angry they stop thinking, right? And that's exactly what went on here. Elizabeth Warren was owned. She is calling for this out of frustration from what she has seen with Donald Trump. She is not looking at this, clearly not looking at this from the perspective of the future of the Democrat Party, the future of Americans, the future of young people, the future of anyone except her and Donald Trump, right? She's so furious about Donald Trump that she's clearly gone down this road, which is a terrible idea. It's a terrible idea from 50 different perspectives, right? So that's why she ends up here. And this makes sure that we get milquetoast, super vanilla candidates, right? And it makes it harder for anyone who has had some character or some grit or some hard times they've had to overcome. It's super anti. You want to talk about justice? Is this justice? Anybody who went through the justice system, they're going to have a harder time, and many of them won't even think about running, right? Because criminal records will be on, because actually, yeah, I guess. Oh, that's another one, right? Are we going to have people release their criminal records, right? Actually, that trust and believe that would show up in your tax returns, right? Because it would with the tax returns, everything's out in the open, right? So this is just a terrible idea. All right. So what does Yang do about this? So he just comes forward, and right, and he says, I think this would be the best way to handle it. Just consistently start coming right at Elizabeth Warren on this and saying, Elizabeth Warren, you called for all these candidates to give up to publicly release their tax records and publicly release their health records. Well, I, for one, think that that's unfair that favors the rich over the poor. I think that destroys the right to privacy that the Democrats have been making stronger since the 1970s. I think that this is going to make it more difficult for people who are transitioning or who might have had challenging sicknesses or conditions, right? And I care about all those people, Elizabeth Warren. You might not, but I do. Andrew Yang, right? So it shows humanity first, right? And guess what? It shows he's intelligence first. He's way more intelligent than Elizabeth Warren. That's a fact in my opinion. I don't think there's any two ways about that, right? Elizabeth Warren's a super smart person, but she ain't Yang smart. Nobody's Yang smart. Nobody on that stage is Yang smart. It's not just Elizabeth, right? So that's the issue. Is I really feel like he has an opportunity to do the right thing. This really got to get fixed, right? I am shocked that any Democrat would support insisting that U.S. primary presidential candidates bring forward their tax records and their health records. This is a terrible idea from 55 different directions. And I honestly believe it accomplishes like a whole bunch of really, really important goals for the Republicans, right? Elizabeth Warren on this, I don't think she's doing it intentionally, right? I think she's just so frustrated with the Trump situation that she's actually very strongly supporting a ton of goals that the Republicans want to achieve, right? And believe it or not, even with Trump, it would not have helped in any way, right? But I will trust and believe, man, if the Democrats are successful in getting this in, and they have their they make it expected that U.S. presidential primary candidates will be publicly releasing their tax and their health records, this is going to help the Republicans like crazy. Are you kidding me? Right? They're dull as dirt, right? They all live very, I'm one of them, right? I'm just a vanilla person, right? I don't have any exciting, past or any cool things I did, right? And most Republicans are the same way, right? But Democrats, they actually try stuff in life. They take risks, do all kinds of crazy stuff. You want Democrats at a party. You don't want Republicans at a party, right? And guess what? When you're a party person, you're going to have problems in your tax reports. You're going to have problems in your health report. This is a terrible idea from 55 different directions. And Andrew Yang should show he's more intelligent than anybody else that's been standing on those debate stage. And he should show, if you're really humanity first, this is a great way to show it. This is definitely a humanity first opportunity. So I absolutely think Andrew Yang, right quick, should oppose Elizabeth Warren's call for all the other candidates to release their tax records and their health records. That's my take. I'd love to hear what you think. Let me know in the comments below. Please consider liking and subscribing, and have a wonderful millennium.